And I spoke to him. I said, I tried. I got a job in Mumbai Police, but that was like constable, so I left it. Now I'm working in call center. That is the day I decided that I'm not letting this happen to myself. So that was the first, I think, first ever event I think Daniel sir organized, and that is where everything started. So I'm so lucky and fortunate to fight, in that main event. That was the beginning of MMA era, you can say, in India.
Welcome to the fifth episode of Indian MMA Origin Stories, which is an interview series through which we at LockerRoom try to cover the origin stories of Indian MMA gyms, fight teams, promotions, events, and whatnot. This is Ranjit Ravindran here, and in the fifth episode, we will be featuring Balkrishna Shetty, who is the head coach of ONE Punch MMA. Here is his story.
Hi, coach. Thanks a lot for taking time out for this Indian MMA Origin series. So, how's it going there? Like, how's the situation there with the whole pandemic?
Situation is really bad with the pandemic. As we all know, Maharashtra has been hit very badly, and we are facing a second lockdown now. Uh, so, last November we started back, training and with the gym. But again, there is a lockdown now. We really don't know how far or how long it's going to go. But we can just keep hope now, so that we recover fast and we are back to business soon.
Okay, awesome. So, I think the gyms are closed right now. So, are there online classes or something currently going on?
There's few fitness online classes. See, skills we really can't teach online. So that has to be,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be on mat or, on the ground for skill training of martial art. But we are doing few fitness classes, and this is the perfect time which I get some time to train my daughter. So maybe the future world champion is in making.
Awesome, awesome. So, coming to One Punch MMA. So, I'll come straight to the point. Like, how did the whole thing start? One Punch MMA.
So One Punch MMA is nothing but a dream, a big dream which is being supported by professional people. It's a professional approach towards developing the sport of mixed martial art, because what we have seen, I was the first generation of mixed martial art. So initially the problems we had is the sport was new to India, and we had that much camps, very few people doing proper mixed martial art. So when I started training, I had to go and do boxing separately. I had to go and do judo separately for grappling, because jiu-jitsu was, not established at that time. So everything was separate, and then I directly entered into, one team. But now, as I said, this is a dream. The With my experience, whatever I learned, uh, I have gathered my knowledge going traveling internationally, and learning from best of the best coaches all over the world, and training under the best camps in the world, to start something in India. And then my they were my students, and they're also big entrepreneurs, as well as very professional and fitness freak, you can call, with a very deep knowledge of fitness. So we created a place where everything is in at one place, because MMA today is very advanced. It's not only about learning the skills. MMA is about having the right nutrition. MMA is about having a right kind of strength and conditioning. MMA is about having good mobility, good flexibility. So mixed martial arts is now not only limited to only learning the skills. It's much larger than what we think. So we had a dream that to create a place uh, at which will be at par at international standards, and a state of art gym where everything is under one roof. Whether you say it's nutrition, whether it is strength and conditioning, whether it is learning a skill of grappling, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. So we have experts coming in, from all backgrounds, like from wrestlers, we have boxers, we have top level Muay Thai guys coming and training there. So, so that is what the whole reason behind it, to make a complete gym, because as from here, next 2 3 years, I think MMA as a sport is going to be huge in this country. And at that point, we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared so that we can create those international names and country pride. So we also need that kind of facility. So that is the One Punch Mixed Martial Arts started with that kind of goal and aim.
Okay, so this is a big, very big goal that you have talked about. Were there any
Yes.
challenges when you first set it up, the gym?
Initially, the challenge is uh, we also had one point because it's a huge investment. Because in Bombay, anything you need to do, the place is
Hmm.
the bigger investment because this is one of the most expensive places in the world, I would say. So to maintain that overheads per month, uh, we had a plan to make mixed martial art for all. It's not Let's not limit only to the fighters. Let's open to everybody. From working professional to college going students to doctors, engineers, anybody. So make mixed martial arts for all. So that is how we'll be able to sustain, and that is how we'll be able to make the sport popular. Because when these working professionals comes in, they talk about the sport, which will really make an impact on the society, and there will be more followers. So that was the aim. So now we have in One Punch MMA, we have people coming in from all segments, and we have created Asian champion from One Punch MMA, Asian silver medalist, and soon you'll see big names in mixed martial art as well. So yes, so that is where it's making mixed martial art for all, opening the doors for every individual who thinks that mixed martial art is a blood sport and it's not everybody's cup of tea. We want to make them believe that it's everyone can do mixed martial art. If you have that heart and courage and dedication to follow, definitely you can be a mixed martial artist.
Okay, and one thing that I noticed about One Punch was that I think there's some scheme about like you are sponsoring fighters. There were a couple of sponsored fighters. Like, how does that work? And since financial support is something that a fighter requires like barely, so how does that work and how does that help the fighter?
Okay. Now, initially, we started sponsoring fighters, which I had in my camp.
Mhm.
Then it was Total Combat Fitness, which is a training partner of One Punch MMA now.
Mhm.
So we had few fighters from Total Combat Fitness, which was being adapted by One Punch MMA, and definitely they performed and they gave us we gave first female Asian champion. And then they were rewarded with 1,50,000, that is $2,000 from our management as a prize money and as a appreciation money for the athlete for their achievement. Now, One Punch MMA definitely wants to help athletes who want to pursue this and athletes who are good. So we are going to call out for a selection trials every year, and from that we will see the potential of the fighter. First maybe 6 months they have to maybe they have to pay the fees, and they have we our coaches will observe how they gel with the team uh, with respect to their training, their discipline, with how their behavior with the teammates, and then they'll be adopted as our sponsored fighter. And one more thing I want to tell you that One Punch MMA is also going to start with MMA Fight League. We are creating an indoor stadium, a small stadium, where we will have fights every month, because that is what something is lacking in India is the platform, is a good platform where fighters can come in regularly and fight, because everything ends up with the experience. When we go internationally to fight, we always see that we are lacking the experience as compared to the foreign fighters. So we want to create something where fighters can come in and everything will be paid. I'm not saying that we will pay a huge amount initially, but we will not even charge from anybody. We will definitely pay the fighter. We will pay the cornerman's travel and stay and everything. So this is the next plan in the pipeline as far as One Punch goes.
Okay, so actually looking forward to that. It's a great concept, by the way. So coming back to your career, how did it all start for you as a combat sport? Like, how did you discover the whole thing?
Okay, I started at a very young age when I was 6 or 7 year old. I visited my cousin's place, my auntie's place. So I saw his karate dress hanging, there, and the belt. So I was very much into this because after the Enter the New Dragon, every kid dream because suddenly the karate was big thing in the country. Then I told him I want to learn, and luckily he was from Gojira's time, and he started his classes, karate classes. So I used to travel from Daisar to Bhinder, which is a huge distance in Bombay, and for a 6 year old kid to travel alone. But luckily, I got few guys who traveled from my area to train there initially, and then later I used to travel alone. So karate, Gojiri style, that is where everything started. And I was not good in technical things, whether it is flexibility or kathas and all that. I used to fail always. But one thing I was good at was fights. So every competition I used to go, I used to win. But every exam I used to fail because I never used to remember those kathas. But only one thing I had is the fighting. And then from there, when I started college, going to college, I saw a few guys boxing in the corridor, and then I went and asked the coach that I want to start with boxing. So, and unfortunately, I told him that I'm a karate national champion, and I don't know in what way he took it. Or said, "Okay, you're a karate national champion. Just wear the gloves and spar with my guys." So the first day, it was because karate is a semi-contact sport and it's a body shot. You don't take, headshots there. But then boxing. But the only one thing my coach saw is I was standing. Even after taking those blows from the best boxer of that college, I was standing. I survived 3 rounds. And then after third round, I started coming back. And that day he told me that, he told his teammate that we got a welterweight boxer. And then I was university champion for several years and I played for Mumbai University in boxing. So as the same time I was doing judo as well because my brother's friend was a judoka. So I was also a university medalist in judo and I played nationals in judo as well. So that is where the actual career started. And in 2001, I went for one of the karate championships where I met Daniel Isaac sir. He started, you can say that was the beginning of mixed martial art in India because he started with Ishido karate style of his father. He started teaching people there, and he got his team to Mumbai for a karate championship where I met his fighter in finals and I beat him 12-0 with a huge margin. And Daniel sir was very impressed by that. He came to me and he spoke to me. He said, you're really a good fighter, but this is not the style we fight. This is semi-contact. So we are not into this. We are more into full contact fighting. So he said, whenever I organize a tournament, I'll definitely invite you. So that is where everything started. So he sent me the invitation to come to Nashik, where he started. And his first event of his career, I fought the main event that night in that fight. But when I went there, it was a surprise for us because the rule was completely different. It was a semi grappling where you can actually throw the person and full contact punches on the body, not on the head, but full contact. So it was almost like a MMA. But luckily, I had a very strong boxing background and also the judo, which really
Ah,
helped me. And again, I beat that guy in the final for that main event and won the fight. I have also shared the picture with you. So that was the first, I think, first ever event I think Daniel sir organized, and that is where everything started. So I'm so lucky and fortunate to fight, in that main event. That was the beginning of MMA era, you can say, in India. And that is where Daniel sir called everybody, all the fighters, in a hotel room. and that is where he showed us the video of Shamrock, of that time where people are fighting without gloves. It was very raw. And he said, "This is what I want to start in India. This is what I'm looking to promote. It's called mixed martial art." And that is where first time, most of the people discovered this is MMA. So that 2001, so almost 20 years back. So, uh, and Daniel sir said, I want to promote you. You're a good fighter, and yeah, that is how the whole thing started. Then I switched and was more focused towards boxing, so I couldn't get chance to travel. But I played a lot of events, and then my one of my girl fought kickboxing world title at the same next event of Daniel sir, and I was also invited to Delhi. After that, we organized the kickboxing league, which was in 2004, and there also I was a gold medalist. And yeah, 3, 4 events I fought with Daniel sir, and then I was busy with boxing, and then suddenly in 2006 I started with Muay Thai,
Mhm.
and that was the
So
real
how did you
journey.
discover, like, how was that transition to Muay Thai? Because you got a
Muay
lot of
Thai,
experience and fights there.
yeah. After kickboxing event, few of our boys from our boxing community, uh, we decided to go to Thailand,
Hmm.
and we had one mentor, who was like a brother for all of us, Mr. Danish Shetty. So all these boys, with he was also like a sponsor kind of at that time, who helped us. He's a big businessman. So 5, 6 guys, we went to Thailand first time, and there that is where we joined one Rawai Muay Thai camp, which is in Phuket. And one of our guys also fought a professional fight, Rupesh More. So technically, I think he was the first one to fight Muay Thai professional in Thailand, and he won. He won the fight, and because he had a very strong boxing background, so he got a first round knockout with a good uppercut to a Thai guy against a Thai guy. So that is where the Muay Thai career started. And once we came back, we discovered that there is a federation in India which was run by Mr. M.H. Abid from Bangalore. So I contacted him, and that is where in 2006, I started competing for nationals. And since I started competing in Muay Thai, say 2006 till 2013, I was undefeated national champion in Muay Thai.
So you also in the between you also competed in Thailand, I guess. Like, how was that
Yes,
international experience?
so yeah, then I started traveling to Thailand regularly, and before that, I was selected for Asian Indoor Games Macau 2007, where I got medal, and I was the first one to win a fight there against Kuwait. So that is where everything started. And then I played, I think, 4 continental Olympic games. That was 2 Asian indoor games, 2 Asian beach games, and one Asian championship. I was silver medalist in Vietnam. I lost in finals to Syria. So I fought around total 9 to 10 international events, 3 world championships.
Awesome. So so you also ended up in one championship. So how did that offer come to you? One championship.
So one championship. So I was connected to Ray LB in Thailand,
Hmm.
and one of my students who was in TCF. Technically, she was the first Indian to be sponsored, get sponsored fighter in Tiger's Gym. That was long back in 2010, maybe 2010, 10 years back. So she also fought in Thailand, and currently she is Australia's number one bantamweight. Neha Chaudhary, you can search for her. So she went to Thailand. She was associated with Tigers Gym, and I also got an offer to be a sponsor fighter with Tigers Gym, but for some reason I couldn't go. And from that network, we were connected to One FC, and I was invited to attend the One FC summit, which was in 2011. I think, yeah, 11 was the first summit. So after that, I had attended 3 summits, and that is where I decided to fight in mixed martial art, and that is where after seeing my profile and my record, ONE FC offered me a fight. At that time there was no Muay Thai, there was only MMA. So yeah, I was offered my first fight was in 2011.
Mhm.
Uh, 2011, I signed a contract, but first fight I couldn't take because of due to injury. Then 2014, I took a fight against Jeff Wong in Taiwan, but unfortunately, I went to the complete ACL tear,
Mhm.
ligament tear on my knee. Uh, but I also don't wanted to lose the opportunity which I had been offered by ONE FC.
Mhm.
So I just went in with all confidence. I was not bothered with the result because definitely their training facilities and everything was superior than us.
Awesome.
That is where
Awesome.
the mixed martial art career started.
Awesome. So, apart from your resume, fighting resume, which is like extraordinary, you also have a great resume in coaching. So, is coaching something that came to you naturally since you had that experience and everything? And like, what about that feeling that you had? I think you mentioned somewhere that you had that feeling of seeing your student winning the medal and all. So, how was that experience, and how was the transition to coaching for you?
Transitional question because when I started, it was a big risk because mixed martial art was nothing in the country because I started in 2006, 2005, and nobody would think that anybody can take this as a career because there was absolutely no opportunities. And as a sport, Muay Thai was not recognized sport. It was there in Asian Indoor Games and Beach Games, recognized by Asian Olympic Council, but it is nowhere recognized by Ministry of Sports. So there is no funding. So all the fundings you have to find by your own, by searching for the sponsors and everything. Then I found another way is by coaching people because there was a saddest part of my life is after graduation, my parents said, "Now it's enough is enough. You cannot continue this, career. You need to stop this. Now you start working because you need to think of finances as well." So I started working in call center in Wipro. So I used to do nights training was going on. But I was not happy with it. Somewhere deep down, I said, this is not something for me. And one fine day, I met one of the athletes because I used to train in Sports Authority of India. There was a
Mhm.
sprinter called Suraj Nair. He was one of the best in Maharashtra, and he was the only one in Maharashtra who gave a timing less than 11 seconds, 10 point something in a state championship. I saw him standing below Wipro and smoking cigarette with a big paunch. I couldn't recognize him, but I could make out that that is Suraj. And I spoke to him and said, I tried. I got a job in Mumbai Police, but that was like constable, so I left it. Now I'm working in call center. That is the day I decided that I'm not letting this happen to myself. Whatever has happened, because you can imagine the sprinters. They are the good-looking guys. They are one of
Mhm.
the best shapes in the world, and then suddenly you see him. It's in a short span of 4 years, he's transformed from an athlete to a big punch guy. I said, I'm not letting this to happen. And fortunately, uh, somebody called Sanjay Shetty, he's a producer director of actions, and he's also a martial artist. He's into Krav Maga and all that. He saw my demonstration somewhere of boxing, kickboxing, and he contacted me that I have few guys who want to train, and they are big celebrities. You like to train them? I've seen you. You're good. So that is where the whole career started. I started teaching them, and they started liking it the way I used to explain because I had by then I had multiple disciplines. Like I had a background of karate, I had a background of judo, I had a background of boxing, and I was also a long distance and sprinter runner. So I had a complete fitness package to give them, and that is where the networking started. And they recommended more people, more people. I said, now this can take care of my financial this thing. And then I started my classes in Dadar. That is where I started preparing students so that I can train. And and I started competing, training with them. So when my students started sparring and learning from me, suddenly I saw my team is winning. My even
Mhm.
my students are becoming national champions with me. So I built a nice team after that. I have produced more than 30 national champions so far. And then my experience, because I always kept learning. I'm 38 now, and I think I still am fit enough to fight with my young kids. So I kept upgrading all the time. I never kept quiet that I am a master now. I should sit at one place and just command. No, I am still on the mat. I am still, on the field, training myself every time, grooming myself, developing myself. And that is where that improvement you can see in my students as well, because they get somebody who's already seen the international level. Because what I believe is everything is here in your brain. Until and unless you are inside the well, you think this is the world. Once you step outside, a frog which is inside the well, that is the world for him. Once that frog goes out, the world is much bigger. And I was fortunate enough to travel internationally and learn and train and fight with people. So that experience, I started giving it back to my students. And then that is where the brain started opening even for the students. And yes, that the only goal was to create champions, and it was very humiliating for us because as there is no funding in Muay Thai, the scene in Muay Thai was anybody who can sponsor themselves can go and fight. You know, it doesn't matter if they are a national champion, if they have even fought inside the ring. Anybody is to get up and go internationally and fight, which created an impression, very bad impression internationally that Indian fighters are really bad because the guy is not even lasting 30 seconds. They don't even show the courage to fight inside. They just go, come back. That is like a tourism for them. Pay some money and go like an athlete and travel, come back. But that is something what I wanted to change because I never did that. I always went with the attitude to win. Even if I lost the fight, every country came back and told me that that was a good fight. So that is where I went. Always I fought for a pride of the country. And when Kavya won, there was a big reason. That was a point we had to prove because in Belarus there was a fight between federation, and that is where the World Secretary, Mr. Stephen Fox, said that Indian fighters are like a piece of meat. They can't even survive front of our guys even 30 seconds. When the Indian fighter goes in, we literally join our hands and we pray that this guy should come back, safe in one piece. And it was very humiliating, and I literally got tears in my eyes. And that day I decided, and I literally told Mr. Stephen Fox, as now I'm a national head coach, give me 2 years, I'll change everything. And last Abu Dhabi, that happened in 2017, and exactly in 2019, India was back into fame with 2 gold medals and total 11 medals. And Kavya beat Iran in the finals, which is one of the toughest country in Asia, and they had the overall highest medal in the medal tally, which was a great achievement as well as a satisfaction from inside that Indian fighters can do well if they have a right guidance and right direction to go.
Awesome. So now also you are taking it to the next level. Like you have become the promoter for WMC now. So
Yes.
we have already seen like around 3 to 4 events from WMC ranking events. So what are the future plans for WMC and how did it come to like how did the whole thing come to you?
The whole thing came because the world body has seen me being very active with Muay Thai and promoting Muay Thai in India. And uh, when we started talking about this, they said you would be the right pick for us. The guy who knows about the sport, the guy who have played for ONE FC, the biggest promotion, one of the biggest promotion in the world. So you know exactly how to promote this. And then I throw some of my ideas how I'm planning to do this because any new sport like Muay Thai or any combat sport where it is not cricket or a football. It's very difficult to get sponsors. So, and on the other side is to make the sport popular. As I always said, there should be regular events every month, every 1 or 2 months, where fighter gets a chance to fight regularly, and that is how we will create heroes. That is how we will create followings. Now, you have a very big contribution. Locker Room contributes in a big way by posting all the news regularly. Now, all the news which goes, it reaches to people, and then people understand. Okay, Zubair is the champion. Zubair is winning, continuously, and suddenly you'll see there is a following for Zubair. One guy who's continuously winning. So that will only happen if we do the regular events and we give them the opportunity. And my most important thing is right now, okay, if we are not able to pay to the fighters, but at least we should create a atmosphere where fighter feels when his videos goes on Facebook or on any social media, he should feel like I'm fighting for ONE FC, or I'm fighting for glory, the look and feel of that whole event. At least that much we can contribute. And slowly, as the following grows, automatically the sponsors will come in. And that is where the game will be big, and we will be able to pay the fighters. Now, I want to create divisions in this. There will be A division, B division, C division. A division, all the fighters who are fighting internationally and at a recognized promotion internationally, as well as their national champions, international achievers, will come under A division. Now, A division fighters from here will be a paid fighter. He is a professional fighter. So every fight he takes up, we will pay. WMC India will pay for that fight. Whereas B division and C division has to fight in ranking to build the rankings, and they need to maintain a stake of maybe say 4 fights or 5 fights. Then they will get into A division, and that is where they become professional as a paid fighter. So we are going to create different divisions where I think at least for a year we will run this one series of ranking series where we build ranking. Now we already have done 3 events. Now in 3 events in welterweight, maybe 6 fighters have fought. From that we can analyze. Now in welterweight, this guy is winning 3 fights, or this guy is undefeated, so he's on top ranking. After that,
Yes.
there's a second ranking, third ranking. Now they will fight among themselves for the ranking. Once they come into the ranking, then they can go for the title, WMC title belt fights at a national level. Or later, maybe after a year, we will start organizing international events, intercontinental and world title belts as well. As we will be able to find sponsors which comes in. Once the money flows in, we'll be definitely. My dream is to get fighters like Bukal and Senchai to India and fight. So yes, we are working on it, and I'm sure that we will reach to that point soon.
Awesome. So all the best regarding that, and
Thank you.
looking forward to all the events from WMC. Now, before we close, I just wanted to take your take on something. So you've been part of combat sports from like 2001, like you said, that it's been a long time, 20, 30, 20, 25 years. So
Yes.
what's your take on, like, how do you feel the MMA has grown in this country, and how do you think Muay Thai has grown in this country?
Uh, I had a vision at that time. Because first vision I had seen from a guy who is a father of MMA now in India, Mr. Daniel Isaac, that this is a huge sport, it's going to grow. And somewhere deep down in my heart, I had a feeling that this sport is going to grow. And that is the only reason I was always into combat sport, no matter how many difficulties you have faced in life, but you were always there training, thinking that this will grow someday. And still, if you see Indian market, we have grown only 30 to 30%. 70% growth is still pending. Once that 70% happens, this sport is going to be huge in this country. And soon, I think, not even 5 years, I think before that, we will see big names in UFC as well, because Indian market is huge today. And also, your locker room will be rated in millions maybe after 5 years. So anybody who is associated with this sport is going to grow because I can see the growth. I can visualize the growth, and that is the only reason because you can say I'm the third generation of mixed martial art and still very active, and I kept myself with the time. So definitely, I see the sport growing, and we'll see very soon. We'll see big names. We're already seeing few big names in ONE FC, and there will be a day where we will have big names in UFC as well. You never know. India might have its own promotion, which will be bigger than
Mhm.
anybody else in the world. So you never know.
Awesome. So, lastly, coach, if you had to give some advice for an upcoming fighter or upcoming coach, like what would that be?
Advice to our upcoming fighter is first thing is once you decide to be in, you need to make sure there's a full-time job. It is now it's very professional. The fighters are very professional across the country. You cannot take it as a hobby or your passion. Then keep it to hobby. Don't think of competing. If you want to compete, give it a full time. That is first thing. Second thing is choose right people to train with, choose right camp to train with. It's very important. It's the most important thing because because as the sport is growing, anything which grows, there will be 10,000 camps, 10,000 coaches. Every Tom, Dick, Harry is a MMA coach today without proper knowledge. And if you end up going to these coaches, you're going nowhere. You'll be stuck. So you need to choose the right camp with right kind of network. You need to also see that camp has a right network. The fighters are fighting in good promotion. They're doing well as well. They have good fighters. So that is the most important thing. First thing is to take it as a full-time career. Second thing is to have a right training camp with the right kind of approach and right coach. And you need to be serious about this. You need to be serious about everything, not only your skills training. You need to be very specific about your diet, about your strength and conditioning, about your rest time, about your lifestyle. So overall, it's a full-time job. You have to give give everything into it. And once, if you want to reach somewhere, once you achieve that, then sky is the limit. You really don't know where it can take you.
Awesome. So, coach, thanks a lot for taking out your time for this interview, and really looking forward to all the upcoming events of WMC.
Surely, surely, big events.
Sure. So, thanks, coach. Thanks a lot.